going on, fight fans? TKO Boxing. I'm your host, Nick. And, alright, so it looks like we got a great card on March 7th. I'm really excited about it. And it's a great way to start this Boxing Premier Champions series that Al Heyman started. And, I'm really happy to see it. I'm happy to see boxing finally coming into the spotlight a little bit more. Instead of, I forget the exact numbers, but obviously NBC has a lot more people tuning in than Showtime. I know Showtime only has a certain amount of subscribers. It's something around 80 million, and I think NBC has somewhere around 130 million. So, bound to get more views, and especially with the whole Mayweather-Pacquiao saga going on, boxing as of late really has been in the spotlight, and it's a good thing. It's good to see. And there's really no better way to start. I mean, these are two great fights. They're not duds. They do good quality fights with quality fighters on the card. And, Adrien the Problem Broner versus John Molina. And we got Robert the Ghost Guerrero versus Keith One-Time Thurman. Now, not only are these good fights, but these two fights are also pick'em fights in a way. I mean, you can argue either way. There's no heavy favorite in either fight, which I think is great. I think I've heard some people disappointed thinking that Broner was going to end up fighting Matisse, especially considering John Molina lost the fight of the year against Matisse, but fact of the matter was, it was fight of the year. And John Molina looked really good, and he looked really dangerous, and he proved that he's a big puncher himself. And we all know Adrien Broner seems to be pretty susceptible to big punchers, and pretty, John Molina poses a threat. And I think it's actually a good appetizer for him to pretty much prepare himself in another learning experience before the Matisse fight, because that fight is extremely dangerous. A lot of people view Matisse as even a better boxer than Maidana, and he arguably hits just as hard. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that Matisse is a better fighter than Maidana. That's arguable as well, but still, it's obviously a very dangerous fight for Broner, and he needs the work. He needs the experience against a guy like Molina, because if he can't get past Molina, then obviously he can't get past Matisse. So, to me, this was a good business move by the Broner camp. It was a good opponent choice, and it's a test. It's a test for both fighters. It's a high stakes fight, regardless. The winner of this fight is going to go on and get a huge fight. And Adrien Broner really has a charisma anyways. Even if he were to lose this fight, he'll probably still stay relevant. But anyways, to me, Broner seems to be taking on a bit more of a classy type form. He seems to be changing up his attitude a little bit, trying to clean up his act. Shout out to Fight Hype. They put up a couple videos of him hitting the heavy bag. And, he said himself, no more cussing for AB. No more cussing. Every time I cuss, I'm going to donate $100. Something like that. Something of that nature. And I don't know if this is just an act for now or if he actually means what he's saying. I can't really tell. I mean, Broner's Broner. He doesn't really have much credibility. We all know how he is. He's a clown. But it seems to me like he's really trying to take things more seriously. And ever since the Rihanna and Jay-Z thing, when he called out Rihanna and Jay-Z on, I think it was Twitter, bashing them, saying fuck Rihanna, fuck Jay-Z, just acting way out of line. I think whoever it was, whether it was Floyd or somebody that's, that he looks up to, set him straight and brought him back down to earth a little bit and said, listen, man, like, I know you want to be the villain. I understand the persona that you're trying to portray, but you're going overboard. You're going a little too far, and I think it's time to clean up your act. And especially, you're getting more media attention now, being on cable television. More people are going to be exposed. And Broner said himself in one of those interviews that Fight Hype put out, he said, kids are going to be seeing me now. I'm getting more media exposure, and so it's good to see. And he also seems just more focused and more level-headed, if you will, in training in general. And it seems like he's really going to prepare hard for this fight. And who knows? I mean, we might see the best AB yet. I'm thinking optimistic on his end. But a little bit about the fight. I mean, Broner has great talents, and he just seems to be a fighter that he's got all the tools in the book. He really does. He's got great athleticism. He's got good pop in his punches. I'm not saying he's a massive power puncher. He was at the lower weights, although at lightweight and junior lightweight, he was a big time puncher. He was a really big guy, and he took advantage of fighting the smaller guys. He was an absolute machine at lightweight, and to this day, if you were able to go back down to lightweight, which I don't think he probably could at this point, excuse me, but if he could, I think he beats anyone. I think he beats Terrence Crawford at lightweight. I think Broner is just a physical freak at lightweight. But once he goes up in weight and starts fighting the bigger guys, he seems to be kind of an odd size. He almost seems like he's too big for lightweight, but a little bit too small for the 140s. But he's still fairly early on in his career, going up in weight. So we'll see. But anyways, he's got all the talents in the world. But some of his fundamentals are kind of weak, such as like footwork. It's he's just flat-footed. Anyone who watches enough boxing, watches Adrien Broner enough, is going to tell you the same thing. He's flat-footed, and I can tell you something. I know for a fact that this kid has the ability to move. He has the foot speed. He's got hand speed. He's got speed in general. He's a very athletic kid. And he has the ability to implement footwork into his game, but for whatever reason, he just doesn't do it. And I think maybe it's just lack of training. Maybe it's just lack of instruction in his corner. I just don't think he really knows. Maybe he really just doesn't know how to, as well as all the other elite boxers. And I think it's something that he needs to figure the fuck out, because especially against a guy like John Molina, not being able to move is a problem. And that's pretty much the main reason why he had all those problems with Maidana. Is because, number one, he wasn't active enough. Number two, he didn't move his feet. So he's got to pick up the activity, and he has to learn how to implement more footwork into his game, or he's going to be in trouble. Molina can be dangerous. Molina's a big puncher himself, and we all know as well Adrien Broner is susceptible to right hands, especially the overhand right, because he doesn't bob and weave too much. He doesn't use a high guard. He's all about the shoulder roll, and he leans backwards, and he gets off balance. I don't know if you guys have noticed that about Adrien Broner, but he tends to lean backwards instead of moving side to side, bobbing and weaving when he has to. He'll move just strictly backwards or downwards, and that's a problem. And right over that shoulder comes the overhand right. Many fighters have been able to clip him with it. Gavin Reese, actually, I was ringside for that fight in Atlantic City. Me and a couple buddies went up to Atlantic City and saw that fight live, and I had 4 seats ringside, and I could, clearly I saw for the first couple rounds. I never actually got a chance to really see that fight on TV, but I'm sure it was the same on TV. Gavin Reese was clipping him with that overhand right constantly. So that's also a problem for Broner. And, for Molina, he just needs to apply pressure, all kinds of pressure. Just be active, outwork Adrien Broner, take advantage of his flaws, and really focus on landing that overhand right that Broner's susceptible to. If he does that, the fight could swing in his favor. He could win the fight, maybe even by knockout, because Molina can punch. So, at any rate, I'm going to take Adrien Broner by decision. I think that what Adrien Broner has to do is move around the ring, utilize the footwork early on in the fight if he can. If he finally figures it out and he can do that, if he's able to do it, that's what he should do. And once Molina's worn down a little bit, once Broner's pumping that jab for a few rounds, let him come in the inside and break him down with body shots and head shots, because Broner's very good at variating, from the body to the head. He's a great combination puncher. He's got really, really good hand speed. So if he can do that, Broner's going to win the fight. I think that Broner will find a way to win this fight by decision. And on to Keith Thurman, Robert the Ghost Guerrero. This is a very interesting fight. Very, very, very interesting fight, because there's still some questions to be answered about Keith Thurman. I think Keith Thurman, as well as Adrien Broner, has great talent. He's an awesome young prospect. He obviously has punching power. I mean, yes, did he look human against Bundu? Did he not look the same against Bundu? No. And that's because Bundu was an undefeated fighter. He's a very good, tricky, awkward fighter. So, and he's also a southpaw. So, Guerrero has a lot of experience. He's a seasoned guy. He's been in there with the best in the world, Floyd Mayweather. And that's really the only time Robert Guerrero is looking bad. Guerrero is a very, very high quality fighter. He can do everything. He's very dynamic. He can brawl. He can box. He's got a good jab. He's got decent speed. His power's but overall, he's a very good boxer. He's a quality. He's a world fighter. He's a really solid world level fighter. And I see Keith Thurman having problems, period, in this fight. But I see Keith Thurman's power overcoming everything. All the adversity that he will face in this fight. I think his power is going to overcome it. I think Robert Guerrero is going to have a hard time. And he's not going to be able to, what's the word I'm looking for? He's not going to be able to help himself. He's just going to get himself into a slugfest towards the end of the fight, maybe in the latter rounds. And I think by maybe round 9-ish or 10, I think Thurman will get the KO. So I'm picking Keith Thurman by late KO in this fight.